Good morning, gamers! What's happening today? I am Gregory. I got a new shirt! Check it out! Natural One, and it's Keep Calm and Roll On. This was created by my good friend Matthew Bartlett, who you may know as Art of Bartlett. I have done an interview with him on this channel that you can watch. I will make sure I add a link to that at some point in this video description. Also, I'll send a link in the description of where you can get this shirt. Society 6, if you want to check it out. Karbaka is who you're going to look for. But I will definitely get a link into the details of this video. Hey everybody, today it's DnDaily number 67. As always, of course, I am Gregory, and this is 1 in 20 D&D. Update on the Critical Role Kickstarter. They have in fact crossed $8 million pledged with over 59,000 backers. Unbelievable success. I'm so thrilled for them, and it's cheering me up every day to just kind of watch the number roll up. And hey, more on that as soon as I hear more about it. Last night we got to play, today's Wednesday, so last night we got to play our Tuesday afternoon, evening, whatever, game at the table right here in this room, and man, it was fun. And of course, every DM's, I guess, bane is like, no matter what you do prep for, the party almost always seems to do something else. So I limited what prep I did because, to be honest, I wasn't sure how things were going to go. They're in a space where I got to roll some random encounters and that kind of stuff because of where they're traveling, and there's things are heating up in the region, so they have to so I have to so I got to roll, like, are they going to be randomly attacked, or are they going to meet someone important to the story, or what have you? And unfortunately, because of the distance they had to travel during the day to get to their next objective, they had heard a rumor in town. They were in the town of Red Larch. They had heard a rumor in town that there were some graves that had been put up on a hill just outside of town, and a shepherd had come across them. They hadn't been there, the days before, and nobody knew where they were from, what they were for, and it was odd, so the party decided to go investigate it. Turns out, after checking it out, that they believe that perhaps some individuals from the dwarven city of Mirabar were buried here because of the garb they were wearing and all this. They had previously found these bars about like that long or something that kind of had these elongated pyramidal diamond shape that in one of the characters, Dario, knows that these are like Mirabar currency. So there's this weird thing happening. They got some information about stuff in Mirabar, but they don't really know anything more. Well, while they were investigating these graves, they also, and there was a total of 4 people buried, they also noticed this spire off in the distance. And the shepherd that had taken them there said, "Oh yeah, that's Feathergale Spire. There's these weird water Davian knights that come up here on these flying monsters, and they kind of keep to themselves, but I don't know much about them." Well, that piqued the curiosity of the party. I mean, why wouldn't it? And they decided to head towards the spire. So, based on where the graves were to the distance to the spire, there was a number of, amount of time. They had to spend a night camping out in the Desserin Hills. And so, you may know from some of these terminologies what adventure we're running. I'll probably at some point admit to that, and for now we'll leave it a mystery. You can probably figure it out unless you've already run it yourself and then or played in it. So in the Desserin Hills, there is this smaller rift, there's smaller valley that they saw, where across this kind of valley in the hills there was this spire rising up into the sky like a sword piercing the sky. They encountered, I rolled a random encounter for the night. So during the last shift of the evening, they encountered, they were attacked by gnolls. The long and short of it. It was in the darkest point of the evening. Luckily, one of the players is a Hexblade Warlock. That is Dario. It was his watch, and he has excellent infravision, but he also heard them first. So he heard them, then was able to see them and alert his party. So even though it could have been a bad scene where they got ambushed in the middle of the night, in the dark before dawn, the party was able to turn it around and fairly easily defeat the two gnolls that had tried to come in and find some dinner. That being done, they went and moved on towards the spire. They decided to try to skirt to the north around this valley rather than trying to go through it in the more direct route, thinking they would avoid trouble. Well, they found, as they skirted around, they came across this kind of little gully rift in the ground that was coming out of the cabin. It seemed where this snaking river that goes through this small valley was sourced from, perhaps. Well, they went down into it to get to the other side, and on their way down, Raid, who is our ranger, also actually technically he's not a ranger, that's not fair. He is a fighter who happens to be a bow expert. He is an archery expert. And actually at this point he's an arcane archer, I think, because they're now level 3. And yeah, they are level 3. Yes, because we actually have the Hexblade as a Hexblade and the Arcane Archer as an Archer. So they've taken on their actual roles, and he saw something, and they investigated, and they found that there seems to be an entrance, some kind of a crevice down in the darkness of this gully, and they saw two figures standing sentry. When they approached, and they basically tried to have a conversation, the sentries basically turned them away and said, "You've got no business here. Find yourselves out, away, adventurers." So, feeling cowed or feeling like this maybe wasn't something they wanted to investigate further for the moment, they decided, possibly wisely, to leave this alone for now and head back towards the spire. Well, in that, they were closer to the spire now, but it was still about a half mile away from them, and they could see between themselves and the spire, they saw this giant vulture just tearing into a kill. Raid just decided, you know what, I'm done trying to avoid stuff. Let's just head directly to the spire, towards it, to see what's going on. And so they went towards this giant vulture. There were birds circling in the air above them. Turned out to be bloodhawks that attacked the party as soon as they got closer. Hulk and the others just, they fairly easily defeated these bloodhawks. Hulk raged into it and then ran towards, because he was getting frustrated, like, two of them are swarming around his head and biting him and whatever, and he was like, enough of that, and went into his rage and just killed one, killed the other, and then tried to run towards this giant vulture. The giant vulture attacked in defense, and fairly easily they were able to defeat it. They figured out that this body was actually a humanoid, but that's all they know for the moment. So they look up to the spire towering above them, and that was where we left this session. So it was an interesting session because I did not know which way they were going to go. First of all, I made a mistake beforehand, thinking they were approaching the spire from a different direction, which I could have worked out as like, oh, that's what they, oh, well, you guys are this on this side of the spire. But that didn't feel right to me. I feel like, oh no, they're approaching from the southeast, so they need to cross this valley. That's the way, because otherwise, if they came from the other direction, they would have come to the spire first, and then maybe could have, if they wanted to, investigated or looked around the valley after the fact, but that's just not the way it worked. So you just never know what's going to happen. You never know what your character's going to do. Do they investigate? Do they decide? Sometimes you encounter stuff that is bigger and badder than you are, and you got to decide if you're going to try to fight, if you're going to run, or if you're going to wisely just like, hey, thanks, we're going to be going now. And so there's lots of ways to handle encounters. So keep that in mind. You don't have to fight everything you find. That's a really good key for anyone playing any game, whether it's D&D or any other role-playing game out there. The story is the most important part, and remember that even running away can make a good story. So, hey, thanks for tuning in today. I got lots more to talk about. I'm so excited about Session 3 in our Battletech RPG. The editing is coming along beautifully. I'm trying to make this a really quality, at least the intro section of this game. I just want it to really look and feel and sound great, so I'm doing my best with that. Stay tuned for that and much more. Got another D&D game, my Kingdom of Magic game tonight, so I'm excited about that. I appreciate you all stopping by. Hey, remember, give me a thumbs up and share this with your friends. I'll see you at a table someday. Keep rolling 20s. And until then, remember, it's your game. Play your way.